Hello and welcome to Tell the People, a program about our Catholic faith with news and information in and around the Catholic Diocese of Lafayette. I'm Stephanie Bernard. In today's show, Trista Littell has an interview with Carol Maynard about Catholic committed to the repeal of the death penalty. Father Michael Champine's talk is about the commandments in the segment, What It Means to be Catholic. And in a conversation with Bishop Michael Jarrell, Monsignor Richard Green interviews Bishop Jarrell about another important topic. And now, Catholic news on this August 28th weekend. Attention all couples. Want to learn exciting new ways to connect during your time together? Demands of children, work, and family can make it seem nearly impossible to carve out time for yourself as a couple. Our time together, a revitalizing couples night, is the theme for the upcoming 3-evening series, which is scheduled to begin on Friday, September 2nd. The remaining 2 events will be held on October 7th and November 4th. To register or request further information, please contact the Office of Marriage and Family Life at 261-5653 or visit the Marriage and Family Life section of the diocesan website at diolav.org. A vocation supper will be served for young men at Bishop Michael Jarrell residence on Wednesday, September 28th. The supper is for young men who may be discerning a possible call to priesthood or the religious life. It is customary that the young man's pastor, a deacon, or religious accompany the candidates to the supper. A sponsoring pastor, deacon, religious may bring 1 or 2 candidates. If the young person is under the age of 18 years and is the only candidate sponsored by the priest, deacon, religious or parent, or other family member over the age of 18, must also attend the vocation supper. Space is limited to 15 candidates, so early registration is recommended. The Lafayette Diocesan Office of Justice and Peace has scheduled its 11th annual campaign against poverty workshop for Saturday, October 29th. The workshop will be held from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. inside the Immaculata Center in Lafayette, located at 1408 Carmel Drive in Lafayette. This year's theme is God's People Can Wait No Longer. The $15 registration includes lunch, refreshments, and display place if it is needed. The workshop constitutes 3 hours of catechist certification and is ideal for teachers from both public and private schools. Others will find it beneficial to attend the workshop include those who serve the poor and needy. This year's workshop will feature a keynote address delivered by Tom Constance, Director of the Office of Justice and Peace for the Archdiocese of New Orleans. Mr. Constance's presentation will focus on understanding the economics of poverty. Additionally, there will be a panel discussion on the needs of the poor. To register or request further details regarding the workshop, please contact the Office of Justice and Peace by calling 261-5545. Coming up next, Trista Littell has an interview with Carol Maynard about Catholic committed to the repeal of the death penalty.
Welcome to Inside the Diocese. I'm Trista Littell, Assistant in the Office of Pro-Life Activities, and with me here today is the Director of the Office of Pro-Life Activities, Carol Maynard. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Trista. It's really good to be back on the set.
It's good for us to be here together to talk about a really important activity that's coming up. The Office of Pro-Life Issues address issues from the beginning of life to its natural end. And today, I know you're going to be talking about alternatives to the death penalty. Tell us about this event that's coming up, Carol.
Well, first of all, Trista, it's a one-day organizing meeting and training session with Sister Helen Prejean for Louisiana Catholics committed to the repeal of the death penalty.
Now, when and where will this event take place?
It's going to be held on Saturday, September the 10th, 2011, from 9:45 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. here at the Diocese of Lafayette Immaculata Center in the Fusilier Auditorium.
Now, why have an organizing event? What's the purpose of it?
First of all, in November of 2010, the Louisiana Conference of Catholic Bishops gave a directive that efforts in each one of the dioceses, the 7 dioceses across Louisiana, would be taken to work for the repeal of the death penalty. That would be the directive taken by all of the dioceses. We're going to learn on this day we're going to learn about the Louisiana Coalition to the Alternatives for the Death Penalty, which is a grassroots effort to find practical and very compassionate means to end the executions in our state. We're going to learn about resources, statewide strategies, and diocesan plans of action to help educate the Catholics about the Church's teachings on this very important issue. In searching for alternatives to the death penalty, we're also committed to address the needs of the victims, the family of the murder victims, and also the other victims of crime. We're going to also address the needs of the family of those that are on death row, the death row inmates, their families, and also the concerns there. We're going to also address the needs of those that have been exonerated through all of the DNA, the new testing that's available and the technology that's available today, those that have been wrongly convicted and their family members. And then if people want more information about the Louisiana Coalition for Alternatives to the Death Penalty, there is a website that they can go to, www.dpalternatives.org.
Now, Carol, you want to tell us a little bit about the guest speaker, Sister Helen Prejean?
Yes, I'd love to. Our featured speaker is Sister Helen Prejean, whose passion for abolishing the death penalty was made famous in her book and the subsequent movie called Dead Man Walking. Sister Helen Prejean is a worldwide renowned advocate to abolish the death penalty. And I kind of want to talk about her a little bit because I went on her website this morning. It's www.prejean.org, and she's a vowed Roman Catholic religious sister of St. Joseph of Madai. She also wrote another book called The Death of Innocents. It's an eyewitness account of wrongful executions. And then there's also a DVD that's out called Capital Punishment. It's a 5-session DVD study that features her in her outspoken criticism of state-sponsored executions. And on her website, she poses the question that I have been contemplating: is God vengeful, demanding a death for a death? Or is God compassionate, luring souls into love so great that no one can be considered enemy? You know, which is such a poignant, I think, question to ponder. And now, especially now, with Blessed John Paul II's encyclical that he wrote in 1995 called The Gospel of Life, where, and also in his visit to St. Louis in January of 1999, when he positioned the death penalty as a life issue right alongside of abortion, euthanasia, and physician-assisted suicide, which are the issues that I've been so familiar with. And all of us, I think, those that call ourselves pro-life seem to mean pro-innocent life, and that we don't stop to contemplate that most of us feel that those guilty of heinous crimes lose their right to life and should be executed. But Pope John Paul II turns it around in the Gospel of Life when he makes us aware of the teachings, the social teachings of the Church. The very first one is the dignity of human life. all of human life. And so he says the death penalty is cruel and unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Because of our restorative justice programs. It may take a while, but with God, all things are possible, there. And incarceration should be enough, not the execution of a human person.
A lot of times people look at people as a problem.
Right.
It's not going to fix the problem.
Just
because
like
society is
just like with abortion.
Right.
They think that the abortion is going to is going to fix the problem to pregnancy, and it really doesn't. All abortion, it doesn't end pregnancy. It makes you the parent of a dead baby.
Right.
Well,
Carol, tell us who should attend this.
Definitely those people who participated in the Catholic Dialogue Retreat back in 2007, because this is kind of an offspring of that particular retreat, which brought together pro-life and social justice leaders from across the state. And since then, our Catholic Dialogue Retreat has been held up as a model across the United States for other dioceses to try and and follow. So there's also pastors, pastoral assistants, deacons, and laypersons who want to work for the repeal of the death penalty in their respective dioceses should attend this organizing meeting.
Well, the fee is $20, payable to Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New Orleans. If you want to register, you can contact the Office of Pro-Life Activities at 337-261-5607. Again, this is the Louisiana Catholics Committed to the Repeal of the Death Penalty campaign, organizing meeting and training session with Sister Helen Prejean to be held September 10th. Thank you, Carol, for being with us today. And stay tuned, folks. There's more to come on Tell the People.
Coming up next, Father Michael Champoin's talk is about the commandments in the segment, What It Means to Be Catholic.
A warm welcome to all of our viewers to Tell the People, to our series, What It Means to Be Catholic. If you're just joining us, we're treating the Ten Commandments, the moral life of the Christian, or what we call life in Christ, is what the Catechism delineates the treatment of the moral life. And we speak about moral life, we speak about human acts. Acts that can be judged morally based upon whether they're help unite us to our final end, namely God in heaven, or whether they skew us from that end or turn us diametrically opposed to God Himself. And so we're looking at those operating instructions for being a human being made by God, designed by God, and we have God as our end. Second commandment, we read in the delineation from the book of Exodus, God revealed to Moses at verse 7, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. For the Lord will not leave unpunished him who takes his name in vain." And we have a second list of delineation of the commandments, which varies somewhat from time to time, but for the second commandment it's identical in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy at verse 11 of chapter 5, we have, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave unpunished him who takes his name in vain." So we have an identical recording of this second word of God to Moses about how man ought to live. The second commandment, the Catechism of the Catholic Church rather, tells us that it prescribes the respect for the Lord's name. Like the first commandment, it's dealing with God. The first three commandments deal with our responsibility toward God. But like the second, it deals with the virtue of religion, of that adoration and respect and reverence that we as creatures owe to our God. And like the first commandment, dealing with the virtue of religion, it delineates what we're supposed to do with regard to God and what we're supposed to avoid, which would be dishonorable to God. Unlike the first commandment, it deals mainly with our speech, how we use words, the name of God especially, and the name of holy things.